Welcome to Modern Psychedelics, where we explore the transformations made possible through intentional engagement with psychedelics. This podcast will help you integrate high consciousness living into the everyday and deepen the work ignited by altered states. You can expect balanced and grounded conversations around therapeutic, ceremonial, and recreational containers. My name is Lana Pribic, your host and guide. I am a 3-time certified professional life coach, and I work with people who want to integrate higher levels of consciousness into their daily lives so they can feel more peace, fulfillment, and connection. After all, our time here on Earth is so brief, so let's make sure we're really living. The song you hear is called Lost Horizon by Peace Sign. All right, let's journey. Footwear has always been a huge issue for me. The problem is I want to look cute, but I'm also so over those fashion shoes that make my feet hurt and my bunions worse. Earth runners have solved all of my soul's problems. Their earthing sandals are not only comfortable, not only mimic barefoot living, but also look pretty damn cute with all my outfits. I recently got a pair for my 6 weeks in Costa Rica, and I am not kidding you guys. I did not take these shoes off. They were the only footwear that I brought with me other than my hiking boots, but honestly, I could have left those hiking boots at home. My feet feel like they're finally starting to heal after all of the damage I've put them through over the years. I can walk for long distances, and my feet just don't hurt like they used to. I am obsessed. I have found my shoe for life. Made with Vibram outsoles for a responsive, sure-footed experience, these smart sandals are appropriate for hiking, long-distance running, not that I do any of that, water adventures, festivaling, I definitely do that, and integrating with the earth. So the stainless steel copper earthing system grounds you to the Earth's electromagnetic frequencies, which has a number of health benefits. You guys can research this: reducing inflammation, connecting to the circadian rhythm, better sleep, pain reduction, and some other stuff. The ultimate integration for me is living in alignment with the earth. And I love any products that help me do that. Free your feet and rewild your soul with earth runners. Just go and get a pair for the summer season and you will thank me later. I'm currently sporting the Circadian Adventure model, and I'm about to go grab another pair because I'm that obsessed. Visit earthrunners.com and use Lana, Lana, at checkout for 10% off. That's earthrunners.com and Lana at checkout for 10% off. Hello. So today's episode is in celebration of Modern Psychedelics' 3-year anniversary. I can't believe that 3 years ago in February 2021, February 15th, we dropped 3 episodes for you guys and began this journey. And it's just pretty incredible and insane to see how far this platform, this podcast, this community has become. And I'm just so excited about everything to come. It really feels like this year big things are coming, and the podcast is really gaining an authority in the space, and it's really just such a pleasure of my lifetime. So for today's episode, I wanted to do something fun and special and different and do a Ask Me Anything. So I asked you guys on Instagram and over my mailing list to send in any questions you might have having to do with anything, and I've selected a few of them and I will be answering them today. So let's get right into it with one of my favorite questions that I want to start with. How would you describe each medicine that you've worked with signature? And for example, why would someone choose mushrooms versus Aya versus Iboga versus 5-MeO? So I love this. I definitely thought about it a little bit. And I'm going to kind of go through all of the psychedelics, or most of them, that I've worked with. And just share what I feel the signature or the essence of each medicine is. So the first one I started off with was MDMA. So I feel like the essence of MDMA is kind of like joy, bliss, and it's definitely love, but it feels more like conditional love. And I'll share a little bit about that in a moment when I get to some of the other medicines. Mushrooms. So this is probably a surprise, but I don't really connect with mushrooms as much. I've definitely worked with them a lot in the past, but they were never a medicine that I really connected with. So I feel like I'm not the best person to speak on the essence of mushrooms, but I feel like they're kind of like spacey, they're kind of like trickstery, they're kind of mischievous and kind of like light and like twisty and windy, but there's also this like interconnectedness, right? Like the mycelial nature, the interconnectedness with mushrooms. LSD, I feel like the essence is like very classically psychedelic. I think LSD definitely has like a clarity to it. There's times where I have felt very sober, even though I have been very high on LSD. So I feel like there's like this clarity and wonder and awe with LSD. Ayahuasca, the essence of ayahuasca for me is the way of beauty and love on earth. It's very earthy, it's very feminine, it's very kind of mysterious, and it's a little dark. Iboga is the way of truth on earth. It's very human. It's about the acceptance of duality and the acceptance of what it means to be a human here on earth. And it's very internal. Kana is not a psychedelic. It's psychedelic adjacent. And this one for me is just like a warm and gentle hug. And the essence of it is very just supportive and gentle. And then finally, 5-MeO DMT, the latest medicine I've worked with. This one is just infinite and universal, unconditional love. It's the mystery of non-duality, the mystery of the universe. It's pure essence and the energy of love. And in terms of why one would choose one medicine over the other, I don't think I really have a good reason for that other than it's completely personal and people are drawn to different medicines at different times in their lives. So I think that that's just very personal, but I also think it's kind of nice to know what each medicine has to offer. And obviously, as I'm describing this, it's my experience of it. So let me know if you guys agree with my assessment of the essence. Another question that I really liked was, what has been the greatest source of support aside from medicine on your healing journey? I love this question. Obviously, psychedelics and plant medicine have been instrumental for me, but outside of that, I would definitely say the people in my life, and this changes at different times. For example, when I was first starting out with plant medicine and really deep with ayahuasca, the shamans that I was working with were instrumental, as well as the community that I was a part of. And then also more recently, my friends, the people in my life. I have a best friend who lives all the way in Australia, but she is an amazing support for me. I have incredible friends here. My mother is an amazing support for me, and she's really learned how to support me in ways that I need throughout my healing journey. Therapy was supportive for me for a time. Kind of stopped being supportive once I started with psychedelics, but yeah, it was definitely supportive at the time. And then other than people, modality that you guys would already know, if you listen to the podcast, has been supportive for me is coaching. I started working with a coach when I was really exploring microdosing and first starting working with psychedelics, and I found it incredibly useful to kind of generate some momentum alongside the healing that I was doing. And that was also why I decided to get trained as a coach, because I felt that it was just deeply impactful. I think I'll leave it there, other than the usuals of just like keeping things really simple with wellness and self-care and, eating healthy foods and sleeping a lot. Sleep is definitely my ally on the healing journey. Okay, so another question, how has sharing yourself with the public via Modern Psychedelics shaped who you are today? This is such a hard question, and I was trying to think of how to answer it when I read it, and I honestly have no idea, so I'm just going to go with it. Modern Psychedelics has been such an incredible journey of growth and of really stepping into my sense of power and purpose and service in the world. And I think with that has come this just natural obligation and responsibility to really take care of myself and make sure that I'm always good, because it's not about presenting myself in a particular way. It's kind of the opposite, right? It's kind of about making sure that I am presenting myself in a way that is real and authentic, and so that I am regulated enough to do that. And so I think that that's one thing. Yeah, it's definitely helped me with taking care of myself and really taking action on situations or relationships that are creating some sort of stress in my life. So overall, I guess to summarize that, I think I really take action on reducing the amount of stress that I experience in my life on a day-to-day, because I want to be able to really show up for modern psychedelics. This is such a passion project. This feels like as close to my life's work that I've been able to get in the 33 years that I've been alive. So it's something that I just really cherish and take very seriously. So yeah, I really try to reduce the amount of stress that I experience. I think it's also made me like tougher and more confident, because I really do share very vulnerably and openly with my community. And I think that that is what has allowed me to develop a trust and a relationship with you all, which I value so much. Yeah, I think that I kind of have to just be very like certain of who I am and sure of who I am and sure of how I present myself. And of course, you know, there will sometimes be comments that people make that are triggering. And I think like dealing with that, I don't get them very often, which I'm really grateful for, because I put a lot of effort into just keeping the energetic space of my platform very clean and clear. But when they do come and it triggers me, I really had to teach myself how to stay firmly rooted in my message and in who I am, and to not allow that to like really infect and infest my being, which, you know, years ago, before I put myself out there publicly, I kind of feared this. I was afraid of this. It was part of the reason why it took me 9 months to actually launch my first episode after I started Modern Psychedelics on Instagram. So yeah, it's really helped me with the clarity of my message and my belief system. And it's really helped me to stay anchored in what I believe in and in what I want to share with the world, and to kind of like not allow, you know, perspectives that are different and coming at me in a harsh way to deter me from that. And I'm really grateful for that. One thing that my public presence and platform makes room for is a lot of connection with a lot of really beautiful people in the world. I get a lot of emails and messages and comments that are just so beautiful and so supportive and in such gratitude, that I think that that has really shaped me, and it's really made me more optimistic about the world and where our collective consciousness is going. And it's really opened my eyes to just how much love and support is really out there, and to how many people in the world are really on this same journey and path. So I think, yeah, it's also made me have more faith, more hope, and more optimism about humanity. Thanks for that question. I loved it. Okay, so who is your all-time favorite DJ or band to rave with? Love this as well. Lately, it's been a lot of bass music. I think that over the last year, I've really kind of transitioned over into the bass subgenre of electronic music, particularly drum and bass, deep dubstep, anything from the UK I go really crazy for. I definitely have to acknowledge the Toronto community here and how thriving our underground bass music scene is. And yeah, all of my friends like Kevin sitting across from me right here, who have introduced me over the year or so to just some absolutely amazing music that I was not so deeply ingrained in. And yeah, I pretty much just like lose it on the dance floor, and like the darker and deeper, the better. I love it. I love it so much. Okay, so now this one's a little more serious. Someone asked, so there's a suspected and known lack of integrity and boundary crossing from a popular facilitator in my local community. Any thoughts on how to address something like this? He's actively facilitating and teaching new facilitators and has been for a long time. Thank you for asking this. I think that this really speaks to, something that Karina, a past guest, has brought to my attention lately, is advocating for integrity in the psychedelic space. And I've never really put it that way, but I think everyone who is a community member of the psychedelic space has a responsibility to advocate for integrity. Integrity is huge in this world, because we are dealing with people's psyches and people's spirits, and the deepest parts of a human. So presenting oneself in a certain way and actually acting in accordance to that presentation is fundamental. If there's a suspected and known lack of integrity and boundary crossing, of course, that can be a little vague. I think it's important to address that, whether speaking to the individual directly and asking questions. You're always allowed to ask questions. And if a facilitator does not answer your questions, that's not a good sign. I would recommend asking questions, getting a clear picture, because sometimes things aren't always as they appear, right? And sometimes, well, actually all of the time, we are always viewing situations and people through our own lens and through our own perspectives. So the first thing is really to ask questions and to get clarity and to get to the bottom of the truth of what is actually happening. Next would be to really ask this person to be accountable to themselves and to their community. And if they're not willing to engage in that, then if there is a larger facilitator community or plant medicine community in your local community, how many times can I say community? It might be worth bringing this up to other people within the space and maybe discussing how to deal with it as a community. And as difficult as this is to go through, I think it's also a really beautiful opportunity for you and your local community to ask questions, to really think about how these medicines should be served and used in community, and keeping each other accountable to that, especially when these things are kind of happening in the underground. So I hope that helps. Someone said, "Hi, Lana. What would you do if you hit rock bottom and you had to start all over again? Not just with business and money. By the way, your podcast is one of my faves and will continue to be. Much love." Thank you for listening. What would I do if I hit rock bottom? Well, I did hit rock bottom about 4 or 5 years ago, and I can tell you what I did, and maybe that will help you. But I think the only thing you can do when you hit rock bottom is start digging your way back out and, climbing back to the top. And there's so many different ways to do this, but I think the first thing to really acknowledge is where you're at right now, right? Acknowledge and accept that right now you are in a place that feels like a rock bottom, and that it's really hard and that it's really challenging, and to bring some compassion to that. Because if we're kind of fighting against being in rock bottom, and if we're fighting against where we're at, it's actually going to be almost impossible for us to move forward from that place. So the first step is really acceptance, compassion, and acknowledgement of where you are. The second step that I would take is to seek support. Whether that's, facilitators or guides, if you're interested in doing plant medicine to help you through your rock bottom, or working with a therapist if you're in a place where you're feeling like a lot of victim energy. So if you feel a little bit lethargic, if you feel like things are being done to you, if you feel like it's very hard to motivate yourself to take action on anything, then it's a great time to engage with therapy, whatever type of therapy works for you. If you're in a place, and when you get to a place where you really are ready to start taking ownership and responsibility and moving forward, that would be a great time for coaching. What you do at a rock bottom is you work your way out of it. So whatever way you want to approach that, think about it, see what resonates with you, and just know that you're about to embark on a really beautiful journey. And that there's an opportunity here to really get to know yourself and really build strength and confidence and spiritual stamina within yourself, and to really start fresh. Because once you dig yourself back out, you're going to have that fresh ground to stand on. The place that you want to go from there is going to be up to you. Take it one step at a time, and know that there's no rush and there's no timeline. One piece of advice that I would definitely give to people that I wish I took much earlier in my healing journey, when I was in the depths of it, was to really release the timeline. And for me, I kind of had this idea of like, oh God, like when will it be over? When will it be over? When will I get to the other side? I'm so sick and tired of doing the work. Like, I'm so tired. What's the point? Is it even working? And it was really when I decided to show up for myself, no matter how long it took and no matter where I went on this healing journey, that things actually started to feel a lot better. Like when I really made that commitment to myself to be there for myself, things got a lot better. And that was kind of the tail end of it. So yeah, I wish you a lot of love and luck. And I know that you can do this. And, we all hit rock bottoms, and they can be really beautiful points of reset and discovery in life. And even if you might not be in a place where you are in gratitude for the rock bottom, know that one day you will be. Okay, so another question is, hi Lana, it would be cool to chat about how people actually go about creating sacred space for themselves when embarking on their own private sacred plant medicine ceremonies, setting the space, herbs, candles, rituals, altar, movement, music, instruments, holding space, post-care, etc. Cheers. Yeah, this is a really broad question, and obviously, take caution and care and discretion if choosing to embark on a journey on your own, and use your discernment with that. I'm definitely not advocating for that, but should people decide to do that, most of us aren't creating sacred space from a lineage, and we don't have someone to turn to or somewhere to turn to know, what do I do and how do I do it? And, what's the right way and what's the wrong way? And of course, we want to be very careful not to appropriate from cultures that do have existing rituals. And if we are using rituals from different cultures, to do so with the utmost respect and reverence and, permission if possible. But I think this is really such an intuitive thing, right? Like, what is sacred to you and what is special to you and what makes you feel safe and held? Sacred space is a space that you feel safe to go deep, and it's a space that allows you to ground yourself and to be grounded if needed. For myself, I really enjoy having an altar with, something from the four elements. So I'll have like a candle, a rock or something to represent earth. I'll have a piece of coral or a seashell to represent water, and then a feather to represent wind. And I really just love the earthy grounding element of that. I will sometimes, go outside and forage some pines, not taking more than I need, but, just a little bit to feel that connection to nature. I find candles very soothing. I'm very serious about lighting in ceremonies and just keeping the lighting really dim and soft. I think that really encourages one to feel safe and go deep. Yeah, music, I have a couple of playlists that you can get access to. If you go to modernpsychedelics.net/free, I have I think it's a 10 or 16 hour or something playlist if you're kind of stuck on that. There's many different options. Some people really prefer music that is more sounds and is very clear of content and is more atmospheric and melodic, right? So kind of like East Forest kind of vibes. And that's perfectly fine. I personally really enjoy music that's just really beautiful and really just emotional and evokes a lot of emotion, because I love that aspect of a psychedelic journey, of being able to just go on a journey with the music and experience just so many different emotions, because I find that actually helps me to open up to the range of emotions and human experiences that are available to me. And that's just such a powerful experience, especially for people who have a hard time feeling, and for people who have a hard time getting in touch with their emotion. I think that can be really powerful, but I think people can really curate music based on their individual tastes. Post-care is important, of course. I love to have some sort of grounding food available, like a vegetable soup, nuts, cheese and crackers. Fruit's always really nice, but it's a good idea to have some sort of grounding foods that are ready for you after your journey. Coconut water, hydration, all that good stuff. If you go to modernpsychedelics.net/free, I actually have a ceremony checklist that you can download, and there's a lot of really good tips in there, some that I haven't covered. So check that out. Let me introduce you to Kana, a legal, well-researched plant medicine from South Africa. It's an empathogen, which means it promotes feelings of empathy, openness, and connection. Through this state, we can experience profound emotional shifts and breakthroughs that make a big difference in our day. Through research, it has been found that kanna has an extremely low risk profile. In fact, one of its active alkaloids has been studied and is prescribed as a pharmaceutical for anxiety and depression. Rather than being a huge experience you have to set aside a lot of time, energy, and money for, kanna is that gentle daily ally for uplifting mood. Kanna can be used as a daily supplement or even in a microdosing protocol. Kanna Extract Co. creates the world's most potent and effective kanna extracts. With third-party lab testing, you know that what you're getting is the active alkaloids that will actually make a difference in your day. If you want to learn more about this plant medicine, check out episode 74 with Ryan Luttrell, Kanna Extract Co.'s founder. Have I mentioned that it's legal and therefore accessible in the US? Get yours today by visiting kannaextract.com and use Lana at checkout to save 10%. That's Kanna Extract, KANNA.com, and use Lana, LANA, at checkout to save 10%. All right, back to the episode. What are your thoughts on microdosing psilocybin during pregnancy? I experienced severe depression during my first trimester. Because of this, I decided to microdose throughout my second and third trimester. This has helped me immensely, but I also worry about my unborn child. First of all, thank you so much for sharing this and for being vulnerable enough to share this. I know it's anonymous, but I think that there's a lot of mothers who are going through this. I interviewed Michaela Delamico on this topic. I would definitely recommend checking out that episode. It's episode 80, and she talks about her direct experience of doing this and actually doing I think she actually did a full, journey while she was pregnant. And we talk about that a lot. There's also the Psilocybin Handbook for Women by Jen Chezik. She was also a guest on the podcast, and she does talk about that there. From what I understand, obviously, the science is not there to support whether this is a safe or an unsafe practice, because of course it's unethical to do this type of research and testing on pregnant women within our, current research paradigm. However, there is also many cultures that consume psychedelic medicine, such as ayahuasca and psilocybin-containing mushrooms during pregnancy and at very early stages of life. So I think with this question, it's very important to consider a wide range of information that is available. And I think the space in general could really benefit from more conversation around this. So thank you for sharing, and check out those resources that I provided, because I'm definitely not an expert in this, but I really appreciate you bringing this up. Hi, Lana. Quick question here. If you had to choose only one plant medicine to keep working with, which one would it be and why? Thanks. That is such a hard question. I don't think I could choose. I actually don't think I could choose. And, part of my journey with plant medicines has been trying to answer this question, because I kind of have always known that I would like to move into facilitating and guiding experiences for people. It's something that I felt very deeply at the very start. And I had to really work through a psychedelic ego at the beginning, when I was still living from my trauma and still very much in the depths of the rock bottom. And I already wanted to hold space for people and to do it. And that was really coming from a place of ego and wanting to feel, the sense of accomplishment and worthiness from providing these types of experiences for people. So I've shelved that. Once I became aware of that, I shelved it for a little while. After Iboga, and particularly after 5-MeO-DMT, I am feeling so incredibly called to be in service to a medicine and to step into the role of service and facilitation. And I've basically narrowed it down to two that I would be interested in going much, much deeper with. And those two are Iboga and 5-MeO-DMT. I would love to go deeper with ayahuasca as well, and, go to Peru in the jungle and do the whole diet without any technology or books or anything. But for me, it would probably have to be between, 5-MeO-DMT and Iboga, because I feel like they have had the biggest impact on my life. But I really don't like this question, because I'm happy I don't have to choose. I'm happy that this is just a question and I don't have to choose, because I have such a love and reverence and respect for so many medicines. And also synthetics. Like I also really love my synthetics. I love MDMA. I love ketamine. I love, 5-MeO-DMT is a synthetic. I love the whole toolkit. So yeah, I hope that helps. Let's see here. Someone said, after my first trip, I feel I've lost my sense of self and I can't think clear. I also have more anxiety. It's already been 2 years. Any words of advice? Thank you for this question, and thank you so much for asking it. And I'm so sorry that you're going through this. If it has been 2 years and it's deeply impacting you, it's time to get some help and some support for this if you haven't already. It sounds like what might be happening is depersonalization. I had Jules Evans on the podcast in episode 78 talk about this, and I would actually recommend checking that episode out just for some words of support and encouragement. It's called Navigating Challenging Psychedelic Experiences, and Jules Evans does a lot of work around shining a light onto some of the dangers and challenges around psychedelics. But yeah, it definitely sounds like some sort of help and support is a good idea for you at this time. And yeah, I wish you all the best. And I know that it must be really, really challenging and also probably a little frustrating to hear people like myself or other people in the psychedelic space to talk about how amazing psychedelics are and how life-changing they are and how they're, so positive. And I'm really starting to be more aware of the challenges that people face and that psychedelics aren't always a good thing. I used to believe that there's no such thing as a bad trip, and my view on that has really changed. Like, yes, there is such thing as a bad trip that people can be deeply harmed and damaged by for many years to come. And I hope to have even more conversations around this to support people like yourself for this. So good luck. Please get some help and go check out that episode with Jules Evans. And I think that'll offer you some support. Okay, someone said, I've never done psychedelics. Would I be crazy to start with 5-MeO? I love this. So I've talked to Steve about this, Steve at Enfold, and he said that some people that they do take in at Enfold to do 5-MeO-DMT are first timers to psychedelics. It really just depends on where you're at in life and if you're ready for the opening that 5-MeO provides. Some people are ready to go there without psychedelics, and some people, despite having done years and years of psychedelics, aren't ready to go there. It really just depends on where you're at, but with 5-MeO-DMT, you really must be prepared for a complete perspective shift on how you perceive the world and yourself and your place in the world. It's not necessarily true that you have to have done psychedelics in order to get there. So is it crazy? Maybe, maybe not. It really just depends on where you're at. I will say 5-MeO is not beginner friendly, and it is the most intense experience that I've ever had, even more intense than the 30-hour Iboga journey. It's intense. It's very intense. So yeah, good luck with answering your own question, and I hope that helped. What do you feel helps codependency since it can come back after being single? That's a great question. And I actually want to share more about my journey healing codependency with you guys in the future. I think that the thing that helps with codependency is working on it and educating oneself on it. I have a couple of great books to recommend. One is called Facing Codependence, and it's incredible. I know that there's support groups such as Codependence Anonymous, which I myself attended for several months before discovering ayahuasca. But there's definitely support out there. I think codependency is one of those things. It's kind of like addiction, right? It's one of those things that we always have to be aware of. If we have codependent tendencies and patterns, the more aware of we are of them and how they show up, the better chance that we stand against, not allowing them to impact our lives in a negative way. So codependency is something that we always must work on in all of our relationships. And I think regardless of if you are single or in a relationship, codependency can show up in every relationship. So every relationship that you are in, whether it's with your family members, your parents, your friends, your coworkers, it's always an opportunity to show up in an interdependent way, right? That healthy dependence, and to always watch out for those signs of codependence. Codependency, people pleasing, it's something that can come out very often. Like I haven't been in a relationship in almost 5 years now. I've been single, and I definitely have some fears around how I'm going to show up in a relationship now that I've done such an extensive amount of work on myself and have shown such an awareness to my own habits, like I definitely worry like, oh my gosh, what is it going to be like when I am in that next relationship and really intimate with someone? And I'm like, maybe I will get codependent again. I don't know. But I think the best thing we can do is always keep our wits about us if we do have those codependent tendencies, and just, give ourselves some grace and know that it's probably something that will be a lifelong journey. That's how I see it. Someone said, thoughts on Iboga. I have many thoughts on Iboga. I love Iboga. Iboga changed my life. I have several podcast episodes that you can go back to and listen to hear about my experiences. I have 2 interviews with Levi from Iboga Wellness Center where I share a lot of my thoughts, but I think that Iboga is just such a amazing treasure and gift that just grows in the jungle in Gabon and the surrounding countries in Central West Africa. And it's just amazing to me that we have this medicine that can show us the truth of who we are and the truth of what it means to be human, and kind of just give the brain a complete wipe. It's like Iboga, I'm integrating 5-MeO as I'm recording this still. I'm 2 months fresh out of the experience. It's like Iboga really gave me a mental and spiritual reset, whereas 5-MeO gave me a nervous system and energetic reset. And oh my gosh, they're just so incredibly powerful. So yeah, I absolutely love Iboga, and I think that it's very important. I feel like there's like a bit of like an Iboga moment happening right now. It's definitely coming a bit more out of the shadows, whereas before it's been kind of tucked away in the psychedelic space. Like only people really looking for Iboga found it. I think it is to be treated with the utmost reverence and respect for the Bwiti and the culture that surrounds it. And I'm really, really passionate about preserving that cultural connection with the medicine, because there's really no Iboga without Bwiti, truly. So yeah, those are some of my thoughts. Okay. Dating, meeting men on the same journey. Are there many or mostly female in this space? Yeah, so I'm currently dating and obviously like very interested in meeting someone who is a psychonaut and, likes to explore their consciousness and do this type of work. And I will say that it is a challenge. It's a challenge. And the challenge for me is that I am, a straight woman, and I am seeking a monogamous relationship. And I find that the people that I surround myself with and the community that I am in, it's really tough to find people who are monogamous and who are interested in monogamous relationships. And, I truly believe that everyone should have the freedom and blessing to pursue what type of relationship makes them happy and that they wish to pursue. But it's been really tough for me to find someone who is also seeking a monogamous relationship. And it also feels like such a big deal to let someone in at this point in my life, because I am very satisfied and comfortable with who I am. So I'm no longer seeking a relationship in the same way that I was in the past. I'm no longer seeking a relationship to feel valid and worthy and complete. And I can't say that that was true in my past relationships. I was definitely seeking someone to, fill in my gaps and to make me feel like I was worth something. And now my search for a relationship is much more about like, okay, how do I really like integrate and connect and like create with someone else? So the standard is very high. So I find that I do dismiss a lot of potential partners because of that. And I guess it's a blessing and a curse. But yeah, I find it challenging. If anyone out there has like figured out how to date and like meet people in a way that isn't challenging, I would love to know. I'm currently really finding it hard. But I also have utter faith that I will meet the right person and that it's going to happen at the perfect time and that it's going to be so magical. And I can't wait, but I'm also not waiting for it. In terms of, is it mostly females in the space? Definitely not. I feel like there's more men in the psychedelic space than women in the space personally, but those are just my thoughts. Your best nuggets of wisdom you've learned along the way. Oh my gosh. Oh gosh, I don't even know. There's been so so much. I feel like this whole entire podcast and my whole like labor of love with modern psychedelics is me sharing my nuggets of wisdom along the way. But I think like one that is very present for me is to really trust and be present, and to trust my journey, and to trust the unfolding of my life, and to trust the people who come into my life, and to trust the process. I know I always talk about trusting the process, and it's one of the key things in my one-on-one coaching program, but it's been huge for me. I think I've also really come to stop like seeking and striving. And that's been a really beautiful piece of wisdom. It's like trusting that I can work with what I have, right? I can work with what I have, and I don't need to like seek or strive for anything other than what I already do have. Yet there's also this fine balance of going after my goals and creating and building, but it's coming from a place of the pure joy and passion of creation rather than like striving and grasping for something because it's going to, fill some sort of hole in my life. I don't know if that's making sense, but it's making sense to me as I'm saying it out loud. Another nugget of wisdom has really been to really focus on presence in every way. Like being present in the moment, being present to my emotions, being present to the person that I am with, being present for my life. Like that really is the ultimate goal for me, is to be present for my life. I think my work with psychedelics has really awakened me to how precious this life is, and to what a gift it is to be here, and what a gift it is to be a human and to experience all of the beauty on this earth. And I just want to be present for all of it. And even when it's painful, I want to be fully present for my pain. I want to be fully present for the hard times. I want to be fully present for the moments when, I don't know which way is left and which way is right. And I also want to be present for all those in between moments. So yeah, that's what I am integrating. Okay, what was the most pivotal moment that kickstarted your journey with psychedelics? For me, it was definitely heartbreak. I had been working with medicines, but I was, calling them drugs before that for like, I don't know, it's been 13 years now. Like the first time I took MDMA, I was 20, I'm 33 now. So it's been like a 13-year journey, but it was when I was like 28, like 5 years ago, that I really started to consider working with mushrooms and ayahuasca at first for therapeutic, healing, medicinal reasons. And for me, that rock bottom was a breakup. It was a heartbreak. It was, the loss of my life as I knew it, because I put everything that I had into one person. And I was coming from a place of codependency, and it just brought everything to the surface for me. And I really learned along the way that it was actually never about the loss of that person or the loss of the relationship. What all of that was reflecting to me was how over many, many years since I was very young, I actually lost myself and I abandoned myself. So when someone else, abandoned me, I wasn't even there to abandon. I was a shell of myself. I wasn't my true self. So I actually abandoned myself before anyone else could. And that really has been my core wound that I have been healing over, the last 4 or 5 years, was this abandonment wound. And at the very, very root and core of it, the part that I got to that finally allowed me to heal that wound was this abandonment of myself. And Iboga really helped me with that a lot. It just showed me exactly how I abandoned myself my entire life by trying to be like everyone else, because who I was not good enough. That was really at the root of it. So I'm really grateful for that relationship and that person and, the rock bottom that I experienced, because where I'm at right now, I am so grateful for not to be like annoying and, on the other side and all that stuff. But I truly am so grateful for it, the journey that it has led me on. Okay. Let's do a couple more. Could you differentiate between recreational and healing containers, please? So someone asked me this earlier that I answered on Instagram, but I want to bring it here because I think it's a great question because I always talk about how I love both. So yeah, recreational containers for me so the difference between the two are really based around the energy and the intention around them. So when I think about recreational containers, the intention around recreational containers is very like fun, celebration, joy, bliss, laughter, things like that. Recreational containers are really about celebrating life. For me, it's not necessarily about, getting high or wasted and, having fun through that. Like to me, it's so much deeper. It's about really celebrating life, and it's an opportunity to experience like peak joy, peak bliss, peak love, peak fun, peak laughter. And healing containers, when I think about healing, ceremonial containers, the intentions around those are for healing, for betterment, for overcoming a challenge in life. And of course, recreational containers can be healing, but I don't think that that's the point of them, right? One of the other differences between the two is the setting, right? And the way that we treat them. So when we think of a healing or ceremonial container, right? If we're going in with the intention of going deep into our psyche to look at something and excavate, our deepest fears so that we can look at them and hold them and heal them and let go of them, right? Like a party setting is not really the place for that. So a ceremonial or healing container is going to reflect that intention, right? So it's going to be more of a sacred space. It's going to be a safe space in terms of you want to feel psychologically safe to open yourself up. There can be ritual involved, but there can also be ritual involved with recreational containers. So recreational containers, the setting is, like parties or festivals or hanging out with friends. I just recently had my 33rd birthday, and I think we actually did an amazing job of weaving both of these containers together. On the Friday night, we did a ceremony, a psilocybin mushroom ceremony, and we, shared our intentions and opened up the space and kind of just shared like how things would go, and we're like very clear about, how to kind of like use this as an opportunity to go inward. And then, we never actually closed the ceremony officially. And then the next day we all did a tab of acid and, danced and went to the sauna and the hot tub and laughed and had fun. And, there was these moments of intense energetic and emotional releases that were woven into our recreational container. And I think that's because we were able to like really set that space and make it feel safe and like connect as a community. Yeah. So I think like there can be a weaving of the two. I'm kind of learning how to do that a little bit, which is kind of fun. I think like people in the psychedelic space really love to like bash and shit on recreational containers. And in my experience, they're just as beautiful, just as healing, just as important. And they can be just as intentional as these, healing settings in ceremony or clinics or within a psychedelic psychotherapy session. And then I think something else to mention here is like there are some substances that can be done in both containers. For example, MDMA, ketamine, mushrooms, acid can be done, LSD can be done in both settings. And then I also think that there are some medicines that absolutely cannot be done in recreational settings. For example, iboga, ayahuasca should not be done in recreational settings. And then there's a few like DMT and NN-DMT that are like, yes, but like be very careful, right? We definitely don't want to be doing high doses of DMT or high doses of NN-DMT or honestly high doses of anything. Like super high doses in recreational settings where the boundaries are a little more loose and the space isn't as defined. So yeah, I hope that helps. And then last question, how to not feel alone about the perspective psychedelics bring. I love this question because I felt so alone for so long. And I've only really recently just like created my own little psychedelic community and friend group that I was really craving for so many years. Yeah, when I first started my journey, like I was completely alone. I lost several friendships and I felt like I was no longer able to resonate and connect with some of my existing friends, and it was lonely. And the truth is that this path is lonely and it can be very lonely. And if we are lucky enough to meet community and friends, I mean, it makes it so much better and so supportive and so beautiful. But, someone messaged me on Instagram the other day. I posted like a little video of my birthday cottage celebration that I just told you about. They were like, man, like, do you live in LA? Because I would love to be friends with you and hang out. And I was like, thank you. But also, there are amazing human beings spread out across every pocket of this earth. Like, there are amazing people to connect with everywhere, and you would be surprised. So I think, if you are craving community and if you are going through that period of loneliness, first of all, it's okay to be lonely. Loneliness can be a beautiful teacher. A lot of the realizations and healing that I was able to do was because I was lonely and I really had to rely on myself, and I had to experience that loneliness to build a relationship with myself. So I think there's medicine in that. And if you're feeling like you want to be less lonely and you want people to connect with, they're out there. I promise you, they're out there. Put yourself out there. Go to events. I met Carolina, who is my best friend, and I've known her for less than 2 years. I met her at a Toronto psychedelic community meeting. Kev is one of my best friends, and I met him at a party on the dance floor. And, he's sitting across from me right now and produces my podcast. And, we're very, very close and share many of the same insights and perspectives. And these people really brighten my life up so much. And I met them in the most unassuming places, like a party, a Toronto psychedelic community meeting. Get out there. There's people out there. And I know it can be scary to put yourself out there and to make friends, but I promise you, there are people out there who are waiting to meet you. And of course, cultivating this stamina within ourselves and the strength within ourselves is so important and it's so necessary. But when we have a group and a community of people who have done that for themselves and then they come together, man, that's where the magic is. And that's where the change that we really need in this world can root from. So yeah, I wish you all the best in finding other people, and come hang out on, the Modern Psychedelics Instagram, and, maybe you'll meet people there, and even online events and lectures. And there's just so many ways to meet people. So I'm going to end it there. Thank you guys so much for your questions. This has been such a fun episode. And thank you so much for listening and supporting the show. It means so much to me. I can't believe we're in year 3. We are definitely ramping things up here this year. I think we are already starting to post a episode every week now. So we're really, really focusing on delivering content at a more consistent basis that is helpful for you guys. As always, if you have any suggestions on topics that you want me to go deeper into that would support you, you can email me or message me on Instagram. And if you enjoyed this, please leave a review on Apple Podcasts. It really, really helps. I'm sending you guys lots and lots of psychedelic love. Mwah. Thank you so much for listening to and supporting the show. To stay in touch, sign up for my mailing list, which can be found in the show notes or on modernpsychedelics.net. If this episode sparked something within, please let me know by leaving a review of the Modern Psychedelics Podcast on Apple and Spotify. This really helps to share these messages with those who need them, which is the whole reason why I do what I do. And if you haven't already, come join the ongoing conversation over on Instagram with other beautiful souls. We have an incredible and conscious community over at the handle Modern Psychedelics. And don't forget that the work begins after you come back down to earth. And I'm standing shoulder to shoulder, doing it with you. This episode is produced in collaboration with Film with Integrity. They are a values-forward production studio providing end-to-end production from concept to content. They do event video, documentary series, commercial and marketing videos, and of course, podcast production. If you are working on a project that deserves quality of production and content without sacrificing heart and soul, visit filmwithintegrity.com to check out their beautiful work and get in touch with their team.